What's up, everyone? This is Silver Slayer. Thank you for tuning into this video. Precious metals have been on a wicked roller coaster. I think it's safe to say that. This all started last year with the U.S.-China trade negotiations. A lot of people forgot about that. That's really what kickstarted all this and got the ball rolling. Then, out of the blue, a global pandemic happened. What that did was make the markets a lot more vulnerable, and what also came from that was the silver shortage. U.S. Mint sold out of American Eagles. Royal Canadian Mint shut down for 2 weeks. All these mines in Mexico and Peru were shut down, and transporting them around the country, around the world, was extremely limited. And digging it up at the mines were less miners, less production, with a growing demand from 5G technology, electric vehicles, and solar panels. So everything, it's like the stars are aligning. But there's one more thing that could really be the icing on the cake, and that is the presidential election. Last year, before I even knew that there would be a global pandemic, I said 2020 was going to be an explosive year, a year with a lot of opportunity. And I kept saying because of this election. I didn't even know that there was going to be a global pandemic. So now, not only is the election here, but we have an extremely explosive catalyst to push it forwards, reaping the rewards, reaping the consequences after this. And I like this video we're going to dive into because it does talk about the after effect, the aftermath. What are the prices? What's the market going to be like after all this? So before we start, make sure to smash the like button. If you think this video's informational, entertaining, right, smash the like button. I try to make some good quality, interesting stuff, but also entertaining as well. You know me. This is Silver Slayer. Let's dive into it. So the first article, there's 3 articles, by the way. They all serve a different purpose. The first one is just kind of getting the ball rolling in this topic, and we can kind of break down, some context. So as 2020 progresses, the anticipation of a possible change in the U.S. presidency will have an increasing effect on precious metals prices and on gold in particular. Gold tends to thrive on uncertainty, and if the Democrats come up with a candidate who has a realistic chance of defeating an incumbent president, then a degree of uncertainty will likely come to the fore to the price advantage of gold, with silver possibly following behind. And silver is used as a safe haven, as a monetary metal as well. Don't get me mistaken. It is the majority of it is industrial, but there is still some monetary perks to it, especially right now when people are seeing that silver can be profitable as prices rise. So, anyways, this is all gonna happen now, right? We might already be seeing the consequences of this. This already, the chaos, the kickstart may have been all the way back in March, when it jumped 65% to August, and now we're here. So, viewed from afar, it is interesting how Democratic Party selection of a candidate who can go up against President Trump and win is panning out. And now, this article was written a while ago. Now we know it's Biden. So let's keep on going. Let's take it a step further. U.S. presidential elections are coming. Should we vote for gold? Over the past few months, we have focused, for obvious reasons, on the pandemic and the following economic crisis. However, there are also important developments happening in the background apart from the media attention that still focuses on the pandemic, as they can substantially affect the gold prices. Precious metals investors should be aware of them. Now, that's speculation. That's what we call FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And try to weed out all the BS. Right now, if you watch my videos, if you've been stacking silver and gold, you kind of know what to pay attention to and what's just noise, background noise. So one of the most important of such issues is the U.S. presidential election that is approaching fast. And the polls suggest that we could see the change of the president in the White House. As the chart shows below, Joe Biden, the blue line, has an average polling margin of 9% over President Trump. So Will Biden win? That's a great question. I'm not going to make this video political, by the way. I'm not going to put my 2 cents into any of that. I'm looking at this strictly from precious metals, from an investing standpoint, and how each of the scenarios, how they pan out, would affect markets. So, polls say so, but who trusts polls these days? Which is true. But regardless, would Biden winning, or what would that imply for the gold market? Well, he had Trump's trade policy. I'm neither impressed with Biden's economic agenda, he says. Under this economic revival plan, the federal government would spend $700 billion on research and development for new technologies and energy initiative on American goods and services. What is key are the Biden plans to pay for these other programs, raising taxes on corporations and the wealthy. In particular, he wants to hike the corporate tax rate from the current 21 to 28%. I can be wrong, but Wall Street would not welcome lifting taxes, especially during the fragile recovery from the economic crisis. So the stock market could tank if Biden wins. And especially with the $27 trillion, with the $1 trillion stimulus packages we're throwing to keep the economy afloat, things could definitely get interesting. But you remember, stock market volatility could affect precious metals in a positive light. But with this situation, it's going to be much more severe and much more, I guess, gruesome, to be honest. But and it does not have to. I like how they followed up. It does not have to. So far, investors are totally unfazed by the polls giving Biden higher chances. After all, a lot could still happen before November. So, hence, the possible effect of Biden's triumph in equities and gold markets is ambiguous. Theoretically, given that the stock markets rallied while the price of the yellow metal plunged after Trump's victory in 2016, we should expect the reverse if Trump loses, which is a good point, right? In 2016, what happened? Look at the patterns and try to make some correlations there, right? And you can see right here around the 2016 election, that's exactly what happened. So Biden also is going with the green energy, and that has a lot to do with solar panels. See, silver, since it's so intertwined in everything, since it is the most highly conductive metal for thermal conductivity and electricity, silver's used a lot in solar panels, photovoltaic cells. And if we are going into this green energy revolution, where solar panels are in cars, houses, wherever you name it, this could boost silver demand a lot. Now, I'm going to show you the good, the bad, and the ugly. I did make a video. They found a way to not use nearly as much silver in these panels, so it's not going to boost the demand from this side of it, the solar panel side, as much as people expected. But electric vehicles and 5G towers are definitely still there, as well as other things, especially as he's dumping $700 billion into new technological advances, which silver is going to be heavily influenced and intertwined in. So, in other words, no matter who will reside in the White House, the current macroeconomic conditions should remain generally favorable for precious metals. And that's so true. I mean, whoever wins, it's still looking bullish for precious metals. Any other investment, you can't say that for. Stock markets, you cannot say that for, right? You can't say that for anything else except for gold and silver. So, let's keep moving on. So, moreover, no matter who wins, we do not expect radical changes in the accommodative fiscal monetary policies and the overall outlook. Until the economy fully recovers from this pandemic, investors should remember that although politics is important, what the Fed does is also, if not more important, for the stock and gold markets. And that's so true. And that's why the FOMC meetings, all these things that are happening, this is the meat and potatoes. When we're diving into these topics, or especially seeing the results of those when I make those videos, there's so much context and information given, and I think it kind of gets swept under the rug or overlooked. But anyways, let's keep moving on. How do presidential elections affect gold prices? So I like this because it even talks about after the election. So gold prices typically soar in the month of September before election day and drop the days leading up to Americans going in the polls in November. On average, gold prices continue to decline until the following January. After George W. Bush was reelected in 2004, the price of gold climbed 7% in the month after he won and rose 4.8% after that year. After Barack Obama was elected in 2008, the price of gold jumped 17% by the end of the year. In the wake of the 2016 victory of President Trump, the price of gold dropped in November and December. In November 2016, the price went down 7.6%. The next month, it decreased by 1.8%. On the day after Trump scored his win, the price surged nearly 5%. So you can see there's going to be a lot of back and forth, a lot of ping pong, a lot of wishy-washiness. In a non-election year, gold usually commands higher during 9 to 12 months. So this finding alone suggests that gold prices are affected by the assumed instability of the country's political and economic future during the year in which a new president is named. And it's so true, and it's even more true right now because things are so extreme with this pandemic. So they're going to be even more focused on the results and the consequences, in return pushing the ratios or the percentages even higher or lower. So where could gold prices head before and after the 2020 election? So this is going to be an interesting thing. The National and English Language publication in the Middle East says, by default, gold should be a safe haven asset in the months before 2020 presidential election. By comparison, U.S. Treasuries won't be as attractive amid low interest rate environments. So Peter Schiff, CEO of Europe Pacific Capital, told Kitco News that if President Trump loses the 2020 presidential election and Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders wins, the price of gold could surpass $2,000 this year. That could happen by election night, he says. In February 2020, Citi predicted a spike in gold prices over the next 6 to 12 months. Citi believes the price could hit $1,700 an ounce during that period, but Citi analysts did say that gold could cross the $2,000 mark within 12 to 24 months. Interesting, because all this stuff has already happened, basically. January 2020, ahead of subsequent economic turmoil, Barron's reported the presidential election and continuing trade tensions between China and U.S. could push gold prices up. And see, remember when the U.S.-China trade tensions, the negotiations were the biggest thing? That's crazy, because it just shows how many things, how many different things come at us in an economical point of view that changes on a day-to-day basis, and we have to apply that to the future. The next year there's going to be other crazy topics, crazy things happening around the world that's going to affect prices that we don't even know right now, because we're not time travelers. We don't have a crystal ball. So we got to remember the unknown. The unknown variable is just as important as the known variables. So there will be a lot of volatility in the markets ahead of the elections, and that will be helpful for gold. In March 2020, CPM Group predicted gold prices would maintain an upward trajectory through the rest of the year. And that's when we saw $11 silver. So track gold prices as the election looms. While there are identifiable trends in gold prices before and after presidential elections, the ultimate impact on gold prices is yet to be determined. Any number of political and social changes could throw a wrench in otherwise predictable trend lines, what I was kind of just saying. And that's so true. You got to be ready for everything. You got to learn how to adjust, how to adapt. Adaptation is key. What was affecting the prices, especially because the elections come every 4 years? What affected the presidential election 4 years ago could be a lot different. Nowadays, the dollar is at a completely different point. We are deeper in debt. Everything's different. The amount of silver, supply and demand, how much the stimulus packages we put together, the exposed, especially from the pandemic, things are going to be getting affected at different rates, so you cannot depend solely off of what happened before. You have to look forwards and say what could happen. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you thought this video was educational, informational, or at least entertaining, make sure to smash the like button. I post daily videos, 2 videos a day, every day around noonish. My first video, then around 6 or 7 p.m. is my second video. Stay tuned every single day. If you love precious metals and want to be updated, then this is your channel, no doubt. Thanks for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon.